It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I wanted to talk about the clown nerfs, and specifically talking about Arinad's video, who actually covers the changes extensively in a 2-hour video. I highly recommend watching it. He really covers the nitty-gritty details, but I want to give my take on everything, just kind of from what I've seen, what I've heard, and everything else. And I gotta talk about it, man, because Clown has been like one of my favorite characters, like on the side, you know, like he's very inspirational for an up-and-coming Clown player who, sheesh. But ultimately, enough yapping. All right, let's get into it. So I gotta start right off the bat with the idea that despite Behavior's efforts here, I think that these changes aren't accomplishing the goal. And the goal was to shift Clown to focus a bit more on, instead of just pinks only, to actually start incorporating the yellows. Now, the problem is that it did not accomplish that goal at all, actually, because the people who do play Clown in a very casual way, and which is nothing wrong with playing a character casually, by the way, you know, if it has to be said, I'll say it. But the people who do play Clown very casually, you know, break their palettes like a bunch and stuff like that, we've all seen or have played Clown in a very casual way. And we all know that they don't tend to really use yellows. It's mainly just pinks. And Arinad, I think, is one of the few examples we actually see what Clown can actually do. I mean, the idea that you can even create a guide on a character that's 200 pages long really goes to show that their depth is a lot more deep than we realized. So ultimately, the takeaway from this entire thing really is that the goal to try to have people use both pinks and yellows was not accomplished. What ended up happening, and we were actually seeing this in the PTB, is that people just aren't even using the pinks at all now. Now it's completely shifted to now everyone's using yellows instead. It completely just goes against exactly what Behavior was trying to do and what the goal was. And that's unfortunate, but it is sort of what happened, right? Because the pinks are, I believe, 12% hindered, which is very similar to Freddy's hindered on his snares, which is a 12.5%. Which, mind you, that's a whole nother conversation to have. And I do have my theories on sort of Freddy and maybe why they decided to make the hindered a 12.5%. But I do want to add in a couple of points. So the second thing that I want to mention is that the skill expression for Clown will be completely removed with changes like these. The skill expression is completely gone because there is no reason to really charge up your bottles now, right? Because if your bottles are instantly activating when you toss them on the ground, you pretty much have no reason to even care about timing your bottle throw, to not even try to charge it, right? Completely removing the timing of when to place yellows down, where to go with the yellow. As you can see, even in the background here, Arinad will toss the yellow and it's instantly up, and it doesn't matter. And the yellow cloud is also larger, which is another big issue, because that leads into my other point that the yellows are so large that the survivors are going to be able to completely rotate around to where you have placed that bottle, and then they'll just instantly get their haste up, basically leaving Clown in the dust. Which, once again, you know, if the pinks weren't as horrible, maybe it would have, you know, made a difference, but it does not. And furthermore, with changes like these, it completely just makes the Clown's identity just completely tossed in the garbage can, because we all know Clown is like a chase monster, bro. Like he's one of the most chase focused M1 killers we have in the roster, and his main thing is micro gameplay, which is specifically 1v1 chases. Like that is his main thing, and by removing that, you remove his ability to do anything, and that is not good. That is not what we need. That is not a good idea. That is not a good change. That's not something that we should be doing. You're completely removing his ability to do anything now. he's Trapper without traps, you know, like at that point. He's the most basic of basic. He's Skull Merchant, you know, like at that point. And that's not what we want to do. Making Skull Merchant unplayable was a mistake, and I don't think they should be trying to do that again, because that's not how, like, what should have been done. Now, are they trying to get back in with the Skull Merchant rework? Yeah, of course. Like, they're probably still working on it. But we shouldn't give everybody the Skull Merchant treatment, because that is like, that's not good, man. Like, we should be trying to gradually change characters, I think, with each patch. Like, you just do it like a little change or two, just adjusting some things and go from there. I don't think that one full patch, you know, would be a great idea to just completely nuke a character. I don't think that's a good idea. So on top of the changes, he gets nerfed even more than before, with the hindered nerfs, and obviously with the yellows being longer or larger, and probably even longer too. Vigil also affects his hindered, which it's so funny, because we actually, when I made that video, the amount of survivors that were coming out and saying there's no problems with Vigil, it's perfectly balanced, it's perfectly balanced, what do you mean? It's like, no, it's not. Like, we've even seen it in the video in the background here, which the original video will be linked in the description. But in the background, there's the clip there in Arinad's video where the Rick has Vigil and the hindered did not even matter to him. It completely unaffected by the hindered at all, because of Vigil's just existence in that guy's build, which I'm mentioning, and Arinad has mentioned as well. We don't even know if it's in play. Like, we don't even know if they have it. So, like, having Vigil that just active completely just removes the hindered entirely, making both the hindered of the pink and the add-on pointless. Like, what? Oh my goodness. And then it's so funny, because the survivor players were literally saying, oh, it's just killer crying, it's a skill issue, it's just crying. So then explain this. Like, explain how Vigil's mere existence is just destroying Clown's ability to even hit people with his own pinks. What are you talking about? He even had, like, Arinad had Coupe de Gras on and couldn't land a hit. Like, what? Makes no sense, man. I don't get it. And furthermore, I want to mention that, and I agree with Arinad on this, revert most of the add-ons, or even furthermore, if you ask me, just completely just take off the nerfs. Like, just take off the nerfs. If you want to adjust some add-ons that like the hindered Flask of Bleach one, or if you want to change out, I know they also nerfed Cigar Box, of course they did. If you want to adjust some of the add-ons, fine, go ahead, you know what I'm saying, cool, you know what I'm saying, more power to you. But the problem is that we're stacking this on top of a blatant massive nerf that completely destroys Clown and his identity, which to be a chase killer, like, that's crazy to me. I don't get it. And Arinad actually mentions, like, some very good ideas. So if you want to hear in detail what add-on changes that Arinad is pitching, the video is linked in the description, because he covers very good points on how to change add-ons. And, you know, I probably could think of something given enough time. I haven't played Clown extensively enough to, I think, be able to give a really good add-on change that I would think would be sort of meaningful, but also not terrible. Mainly because Clown has so much depth that I think that even if I offer some kind of ridiculous add-on change, it might even destroy his balancing even further. Who knows, right? Because he was fine, at least in my opinion, fine where he was at. But, you know, these changes right here, man, they completely just ruin him. But I do have an idea. I have a pitch of what maybe caused these changes to happen. Like, what was the idea behind reducing the hinder to 12%? What was the idea behind it is what I was starting to try to figure out, because it really was, I was very curious, like, why would they trying to reduce the hindered by specifically 12%? Until I realized as a Freddy main, that's what happened to Freddy. His snares became a projectile that you can launch from the ground as a wave, and then it will hinder them for 12.5% hindered for a couple seconds, which, mind you, even with Freddy, I never take off the hindered duration. Never. It's pretty much impossible not to. If you're gonna reliably use snares. For the same reasons that Clown is suffering in the PTB, is the fact that, like, if your hindered is not long enough, because it's already too low as it is. I think the hindered should be a smidge higher for Freddy as it is. Just like at least by another percent, like maybe 13% or 14%, like so something a little higher than the 12. Like, it's ridiculous. Maybe, you know, bump it up a little, you know, that'll be fine. But the reason that I constantly run that is obviously the fact that the hindered does not last long enough as it is, and the hindered is not high. So at least if it lasts longer, I might be able to gain like an extra meter that can allow me to get the hit with Freddy specifically. Now, my theory is that because Behaviour noticed that the Freddy rework was very well received, people loved it, people thought that it was very good, they wanted to try to maybe take ideas from that rework and apply it to Clown because they do kind of function in a similar way. Now, the problem is that also doesn't even take into account that Freddy is just so vastly different than Clown. You know, the snares kind of work similar, like you're hindering to get a hit, but Clown's ability to basically make safe tiles unsafe is insane. He basically makes these loops like so different, and that's something that even Freddy can't do. You can still hinder people with Freddy and they'll still be able to just make the pallet or make the window or whatever have you just instantaneously. It really does not matter. But Clown with the haste on top of the hindered was able to allow people like Arinad to come up with placements and timings and momentum and things like that to be able to get these hits that otherwise would not be possible. And by removing the capability to do that is what's destroying the Clown in the first place. And I understand the logic, like maybe if that was the logic, like you want to try to kind of mimic the Freddy success in that kind of way, I kind of understand it. I get it, if that is the idea. But the thing is that Freddy does have the other aspect of making the which oh my goodness, you can actually see in the background here the what I mentioned earlier with the yellow cloud. You can actually see right there that the Sable was able to speed boost up to that window because that yellow was sitting there. Completely terrible. But anyway, as I was gonna mention, the problem with is that the difference between Freddy and Clown is the fact that Freddy has the capability to set traps down around pallets, because ultimately what the Clown players have really been doing is just sort of breaking the pallets and not using yellows and stuff like that. And the whole logic around Arinad's playstyle is that you can play around these tiles, you can play around these things because the hindered is good enough, because the haste is at a certain point, because of the momentum, because of timing and placement and stuff like that. All those things incorporated, but that's not something that Freddy can do. Freddy has that snare and that's about it. So that is sort of the idea. I do believe that these two characters are just two completely different animals, I think. And the idea that they function so different, even though on the surface it looks the same. And I think that that's an important aspect that we really need to point out. Because even on Freddy, I do think that that's not high enough, but he does have the capability to make other tiles dangerous because of that pallet trap. And the fact that you're able to understand timing and pacing, sort of similar to Clown, where you want to pace them and push them into areas in order to get the detonation to go off, to make it even easier to hit people and to lower their health states, is what makes Freddy different. It makes Freddy, like, on the surface similar, but also different. And that's the thing with Clown, is that his capability around that is so different, because his whole thing is purely the M1. He does not have an explosive or anything to help him actually get those hits. It's all around your like the spacing and timing and things like that. And if that was the idea, I mean, who knows? Like, that's something I haven't really heard people talk about, that maybe the logic was similar to Freddy, and maybe they kind of like they kind of made a mistake here when it came to like the numbers. I think that they kind of made them like just really had a blunder there. I think they didn't really understand like sort of how to kind of do the same thing. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Watch Arinad's video as well, covering the specific details on this type of stuff, because I've had played clown, but not as much as Arinad has, so at least he can break it down a little bit more. But that's my sort of take on it. That's sort of my idea on it, as to, you know, what maybe could have happened and stuff like that, and what's kind of the issue. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Support the channel with the links in the description. Become a member, join the Patreon, follow on Twitch to watch Play Killer live, and hit that like button, man. I'll see you guys in the next one.